welcome back to my armor build. So last time I got the sections done, and that's about it, and bits of this. As you can see, I've been marking up more sections that are just wrong, because they have no strength to them. I need to redo them. So we've got there and there, and I think we've got... that seems to be okay. But yeah, I've got to go through, check everything. But let's start off by taking off the tape. I mean, that section's worked out pretty well. I would prefer to have had it more even, but when you first test out an idea, it's very rarely perfect, so, you know, it gets better over time. And up here. As you can see, now relatively tough and holding together. I don't advise pulling it too hard, it will come apart if you really try. Like most glues, it will break, but try not to do it intentionally and you should be okay. So I'm going to do the ribbing sections first because I want to, mostly. So if we just mark around the edge, do the 1 centimeter line. It's just for an idea of like where all the areas we can't go into. And if we just avoid the areas that I've marked out like this, we'll be fine. And then just mark them across and line relatively down the center. Okay, and just that's too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Usually it comes off quite easily because it's relatively damp, but my hands are completely dry at the moment. Close enough. Okay, that should be close enough. And this time I preheated the hot glue gun. Now look at me playing that. Unfortunately, those close enough to the right length I can actually use it, so... Just make sure that dries out, and we'll be okay. Ooh. Now, I'm not going to be using the same technique for the back or over the shoulders. I'm just going to do that out with blocks of 5mm, but I think it depends how good this goes. If it looks awful, I may have to just redo the whole thing. Unfortunately, you have to be ready to redo things if you mess it up. Tell you what, you go down here and you go off there. It makes the work area look tidier. Ugh, I care about tidy now. It's just weird. Okay, if this fits, it's going to be close. If it doesn't, I don't think it will. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Currently I have 5. So if I do one more, I should have enough space to finish it. Oof, this is much tougher foam than the other one. Like, a lot tougher than the other one. I figured all these were about the same, but the density on this one's way higher. It will make a blind bit of difference for an underlaying coat, but for a bit of detailing underneath, but it's quite important to know whether the foam's the right one or not. And yeah, I'm still working through my older stuff, just to try to get so it's all the same type so I can actually tell. Nope, neither of those. Also, for the fact I want a curved outcome from this, the fact I'm cutting them all at 90 degrees would seem a bit counterproductive to what I'm actually doing, or to my goals, but it's fine. The layer that goes on top is going to want to fold and bend, meaning that the harshness of the 90 degrees will just be covered up. All you have to do is be careful. Because I have to keep each one similar. And that's why I stopped for early. Because at the end of the day, that's the total waste from it. I mean, they don't need to be identical, and those two are too close, like much too close, but I mean, it'll show up in the final thing, that one. So, here's my roll again. Now this section gets hot glued down, so I'm not that worried. I'm going to try to be less disastrously wasteful than I was last time, but I give no guarantees. Where's the top? It is. Gee, that's stuck enough. Now here, all I'm doing is pushing it down into the gap between the two things onto the glue I just put in. Now, it doesn't need to be a perfect stick, it just needs to be good enough. Okay, as you can see, it's starting to become ribbed, but it's also slightly going off course. So I'm going to have to correct all that. Let's reload that before we go, because we're pretty much out. Okay, and last section. Now it's going to be much worse than the other ones, down to the fact that this is actually a curved surface, and the other one was relatively small and flat. So there you are, a ribbed surface. Now just go around the edge and seal. I know it doesn't sound like it'd work, and I don't know if it will. There, we've got a decent washboard effect going at least. Try to keep the line straight as a minimum. I mean, I hope this works. If it doesn't, I'm going to have to figure out another way to do this. It may well just be too thick. That's the thing, when you're experimenting, you never know until you've done it. You know, it's a bit messy, but just squeeze it out. And we'll be fine. And wiggle that around there just while it's drying. Ow, ow, ow. To be fair, it's not actually that. My glue gun isn't that hot, but still. It is something you do not want touching you. Run around the edges. Let's get these little sections that have lifted, because we don't want it to be all, well, we don't want it to be lumpy, but we don't want it to be holy. And there. It is ribbed. It looks a lot better on camera than it does in real life, but I mean, it's cosplay, what you expect. How it looks on camera is like the #1 priority. Everything after that is useful. But these bits here, if they're too high, I mean, I'm going to end up squeezing them down like that anyway. But the layer that goes on top around the edge, I mean, it's going to go on like that, and then I mean, that's all you'll be able to see on the side, and you may get some little gaps under there that I'll need to fill. Just get those two little gaps now while I see them. There you go. Okay, so you can just chuck that one to the side. That's still in shot, so it's fine. Now the two big rounded ones are going to be the hardest. I mean, I knew that when I started, so... Sorry. You now know where the microphone is. The illusion of magically captured audio shattered. Hold that edge there. I mean, you could just do one ring around the outside, but that wouldn't do the ribbing effect down the centre. And the main point of what I've been doing for the last 2 weeks is to get that ribbing effect. So, you know, sort of important, sort of a little bit important. Make sure that first edge is stuck before we start. Notice this center section that's going to take the longest. Also, you'll find I'm not sticking the peaks. There's no point. It's okay if it's a little bit wobbly and malleable, because it doesn't actually need to be solid, it just needs to look it. So as you can see here, you can move these peaks around. I am trying to get it relatively taut, but... Yeah, because this one isn't a fixed size, I don't know exactly what's going to be coming out. It's far more wasteful of a technique. When you can actually draw it, you can move it, you can butt it right up to the edges of everything else. But if you don't know what's coming, you can't. So what I'm doing here, just a line of hot glue between each of the ridges and then squeeze it on by hand. Oh, my bottom hand's made a farting noise and won't do it again. Oh well. Ooh, that's not dry yet. I know. So it all gets stuck down. I mean, admittedly, this does take some time, but I mean, what about this constitutes fast? I mean, I think by the end of this, we're probably going to be about 20-30 hours to make this. And this isn't even a highly detailed piece, it's just a fun one. But yeah, this is why commissioning cosplays is expensive. If it's made by a professional's workshop where they've got plans for it already and you just follow the plans, it is cheaper because you just follow the plans and stick it together. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. But if you're asking someone like in their home to do it, it takes ages. Okay. Scissors. Oh no. There are made parts under there that I was cutting into. Fortunately, I didn't hit any of them. Okay, so we have the first stage of the ribbing there. As you can see, that bit's way too overblown, and I'm going to have to work my way around that later. But yeah, these were underneath. And I didn't realise when I was cutting, so it sort of nearly went crap on me. Because this foam's so low density, it actually makes it more malleable, and you can do slightly better with it. Slightly, not like a lot, but a little. That should be long enough now. That side, on the other hand, is a disaster. There's no glue there yet. I can't be correcting that. As you can see, all the tension in it is making it look an absolute disaster there. But that bit gets cut off and covered. So To note, for people just starting off, EVA foam does not like complex shapes. Yeah, all the positioning and tensioning, it just makes it look like an absolute mess on the edges. Because I mean, you can see it happening here as well. Again, if that bit gets cut off, nobody cares. And ultimately, the important part is if you care about it. As I've said in plenty of my past builds, the people who have a go at you because your stuff isn't good enough usually have never made anything themselves. It's either that or they're like the professionals who are doing it in a workshop all day and then it's like, hey, you're not as good as me. I've met them. There are people like that. I strongly encourage those people to just be nice to everyone. It's like you... Yeah, some of the stories I've heard out of the professionals, they like go to conventions, see someone just go like, oh, proportion's all wrong. I'm just like, well, Mr. Professional who works in a workshop all the time and does this for a living. Yeah, that person who made that armour may have never made anything before in their life. And that's really difficult to just pick something up and just go, yay, here we go. Also, if you want an example of wrong scaling, anything that's large armour. Where you've increased the height of the person in for the armour. So if you've taken someone who's like 6 foot and run them up to 8, there is only so far you can push the waist down before your knees become completely unusable. And everyone solves that problem differently. And then some people just have a go at them because, look how small the head is compared to the body. It's like, well, yeah, but what do you expect me to do, grow extra skull? No, you just put on a giant helmet and put a smaller helmet inside. Okay, so that bit, not perfect, but it'll do. No, do not hot glue my finger, thank you. Okay, so that's 1 and 2. Oh, no, that won't fit. That will. Ooh. Okay, it's just up a little bit because we need it to make contact. Also, while working, remember to drink. It's not just gamers who need to drink, normal people do as well. Already pulled one out. Now the flat one, this is just going to be so much easier. I mean, look how much easier this is going on compared to the last one. Also, you know when I said that this one's going to show up real bad because it's uneven? This is the bit it's going to show up on, so it's going to be permanent. I could unstick it, but I just put it on the side that I'm going to turn away from the camera 90% of the time, and then we'll be okay. And that is literally it. Do you remember how hard that was on the previous one? Oh yeah, don't do that. Exactly what I just did. Do not do that. This glue gun does not get very hot. But normal glue guns will give you severe burns if you do what I just did. And nope, it's not because my hands are numb. It is literally this glue gun does not get very hot. Actually, it does at random. Just occasionally it'll go up to max temperature and burn you. I think it's its way of going, you respect me or I burn you. Which for a hot tool, that's a good policy to be fair. Respect the tools. Yeah, this one's going to look a lot nicer than those, but that's because of the curving on it. It ends up like that. I mean, I explained it when I was doing it, so. And just look how much better that is compared to that. Now this thinner foam that I'm using, I only really use for detailing. This is like the most surface coverage it'll ever get. And there you are, one ribbed plate. I forgot to take the top bit off. Whoops. But yeah, you can see it's still squidgy and moves around, but that does not matter. I keep saying it because it really doesn't. Okay, and flip. And we can roll this back this way. Okay, let's turn it around. So we just put one along there. I hope this bit doesn't mess it up. No, under here I'm just moving my hand along it, pushing down. At the moment it's been 48 minutes of the same action, so I think we all know what's going on right now. Squish it down a bit. So squish, 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 squish. Again, squish, 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 squish. I mean, you can't do it on the big curved ones because it would mess it up a bit. But on these ones, you can just do that a little bit on the end and you're fine. Just squeeze it down over the end. Now I am going back to contact adhesive. I'm just using hot glue for this bit because doing this with contact adhesive would be a pain in the butt. And I don't want to do it, so ultimately that's all the explanation that you need to give me. So roll. I'm squeezing it down this way. Hopefully I'm trying to work out which way the tensions will work to bend it. I'm hoping it ends up straight. Hoping. But if it doesn't, I have plans. I mean, I can strengthen these things to make them work, even if they don't stick properly this time. I mean, it'll be fine. Oh, no, stick at the edge. last ripped plate. Let's get it up to the edge so everything matches. Close enough. It's a little bit messy, but we'll be okay. When you've got loads of little odd bits on the end like that hanging out, it doesn't work quite so effectively rolling it up and chucking it in the bin. So yeah, after you've done this for a few years, you will just have bins of foam sitting around. And the question is, do I do the same across the back here, or do I now go for the nasty bit? That needs resticking first, so we do that first. We do that now. Then we go around here, do those. So yeah, it's turn that off. Go get some ventilation going, because this stuff is nasty. Just get the ventilation going without getting the entire house. I mean, that would be a jerk move on my part. Okay, now that's okay. Every time I open that door, that dagger gets me in the foot. Wait, this in my foot every time. Okay, we're now open to the outside, so I'm going to get this done as fast as I can. Crap. There it is. Lost my one that goes around the edge. That would have been a disaster. So let's get these somewhere safe. That safe place is the floor. And of course working with, well, I think solvents? Yeah, they are solvents, sorry. So protection is required. So we start off correcting some of the older culprits that some fool made back in the beginning. Okay, that's probably not going to be best stick, but it's better than nothing that was there previously, so. So if I get that little bit of tape and be careful around the keyboard, I don't want to end the stream by accident and not notice. Down. Just to hold them together in the right place, because they're touching anyway, because that's the way the tension goes.
now I just need to do a solid line right the way around the bottom of this chest plate. Now, as we experienced last time, this is not just going to be like the right length, because the right length is going to be, well, it's going to be slightly longer than we need. Ew, I touched it. Yes, I know, that one's out of shot. It's a very long piece of strip, okay? Off. Okay, that coverage was atrocious on both of them, so I'm going to go and do them again. At least redo the worst spot, because heck, that was just so bad. Now, it's going to take a little while to dry because I may have put it on a bit thick, but that sort of was the intent, so I'm okay with it. Let's go around the edge here. This bit on the back should have dried enough now. That's the issue of doing three-dimensional objects. When they stick. Right. Right, so you're that side, that means that side. That means the side is down. I should probably have done this last week when I remembered, but when I knew where everything went, it would have been much, much better. Right. Look around the edge, just partially dry, which is basically what we need. So if we start off by here, because it's not on a seam, Oh, don't mess it up. Just slowly follow the seam around the edge. I mean, it takes its time, but keep following. Wow, okay, this is going to be real close to correct length. Oh no. Okay, it's not the correct length. Well, if this isn't a backup cement, I don't know what they are. Forward. Also why I started on the back. If you make a mistake around the back, no one can see it. Well, okay, people can see it, but they're far less likely to see it. Right, which way is correct? Just go around here and skip, follow the contours, don't mess it up. And of course, contact adhesive is pressure based, so squeeze. The tighter it's squeezed together, the better it works. See, I was feeling the line down the centre there would end up being tacky, but at this point I actually want it. So, oh, great, I clearly got in it. Also, the amusement complain about tacky when you're dealing with glue. And that should be suitable. Now if we just run this across the centre, because I've decided that's no longer tacky and should be done. There's times when you just don't measure and it's just a bit silly. One of them. Okay, so we get that bit to dry there and so if you run around the edge, just do a seam, blah 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 blah, you know, what we've done like 100 times now. I can't tell you what I'm doing wrong here, and that is not actually measuring these things out. I'm starting to rush again, and that's where things start to go badly. So So what I need to do is take a second and calm down. Get the second one, because thankfully I'm making multiple things that are identical, so if one of them gets cocked up, I can just use the other as a template for the bit that I messed up. Wow, okay, that just fits perfectly. I mean, I'm not going to object. Okay, check that out for itself. Do this while we have time, because we're waiting for another bit to dry off. The gotta be drying out. I think it already is, because I can see it from here, and yeah. You can't see that properly, so let's move it over. Okay, so we've now got the band down the centre. Okay, so we've now got the band down the centre between the boats. Now we've got the thing on the back. I'm yet to decide how to do the ribbing there though. I'll be back for that later though. Oh. Nuts, where did I put that? Okay, I got something blue and dropped it on the floor. And stuck to the mic stand. Whoops. Okay, and let's just follow that around the edges. Ends up being a little bit too long, but that's something that we expected. Okay, a little bit too long, but that is to be expected. This thing will loose fits. And we have an edge on it. I'm going to go through the Dragonball blends and curve all that off. Heck, it's cold. Let's just run it around, you'll be fine. And snip. Okay, that's another one ready. Oh, you really can't see those pins, can you? There are pins. Oh wow, okay, now put the lid back on the solvent. Heck. You see where it's curling around the front, you get that little bulge. That's easily dealt with, but not at this phase. Yep, and the last one. Okay, that one's the longer one, so it's the one that survives. Start off in the corner. And despite the fact they're all the same length, not enough. And tack and tack. So that's where they all go. Now they're just pinned in place, not final, but we needed to do that for measurement sake, so that's our safe. Safe being the floor. Now, there's a reason that I consider the floor safe. It isn't, but it should be considered that way. Okay, so that's all marked up. We now have an idea of where everything goes. The technique I'm going to use is to go around to do them one at a time, and then it's basically run around the edge, do that thing, move it across, go on to the next one, and move it across onto the next one, and then the next one. But while this one's drying, I'll be setting up that one, which means we get more of a production line going. Let it down a little bit. It's okay if it gets a little bit of pressure, just don't put a lot on because it will squeeze out real quick and you don't want that. Wow, nothing came out of that. Okay, so that's number one. We'll give that a minute to dry while we're setting up number two. Also, if you're using pins in order to make these things work, you know, to do your alignments and your markings and everything else, it's okay, but when you do it, don't stick them through too often, because when you do, when you stick them through too often, they end up just falling apart. Do the ring. Well, this is going to be a quick exit for this one. And the first one is now dry. And yes, I did just stick it to my desk. So we check that bit over there, and check that over there. Check this over there. Okay, I think we started at this end. And we just run around like this. As was expected, we end up a little bit over, but that's within expected parameters, so it's okay. And we've got another one stuck. So now we run the prep on the third one, because that one takes 2 seconds, so it's not really going to be enough to justify like sticking the second red or third, sorry. As far as I know, it's you pulling shenanigans. Stop it. As I said before, this PC is the one this is streaming on is really old, so I have to keep an eye on it, because if my antivirus decides to run a scan, the stream will collapse. I can't wait for this whole plague thing to be over, so I can just, you know, bring a rig down here that is sufficient for what I'm doing. spreading blue. Yes. Remembering what relates to what here. Okay, so it's the same that starts from. And just slowly work your way around. Work around the edges and then squeeze. Because this is the worst shaped of all of them. Yeah, it's much more difficult. Okay, now that high pitch noise is my computer, not my ear. That's good, I think. The belt supports I'm just going to hot glue on, because I've never had a problem with hot glue. I've had a few problems with contact adhesive though. It's much easier to understand me while I'm recording, while I'm doing hot glue too. So chuck that back a bit. Right, which way do we go? There's a mark on here somewhere to tell me that. Okay, that messed up a little bit. Yep, this way, just what I expected. So I got in. Roll it around the edges because this is the awkward one. And there are some waistcoats. They look much better now than they did between the flame. Because something good to learn about cosplay make things like Armour. Basically, if you make it slightly more two-dimensional than is necessary, it looks good. Okay, I'll give 5 to let the air go out, then I can take my mask off and close the door. So you can warm up again. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to kick the table. Put my feet on the radiator, it's lovely. Right, how big is the original and how much space do they need? Okay, that fits through just fine, so if we just make it to the same or a stronger material, we should be okay. And of course the base of the substitute holds life on the bed. Okay, so we need 8 of these? Yes, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to wait for that to warm up now. Also, you'll notice that I'm using the high density stronger foam at this point. It's nice for it to be flexible, but it's much more efficient to have something that will, take the beating of the one bounced around, because these are not going to be mobile parts. I am under no illusion of that. I'm just doing that, give them a bit of shape. They'll budge back to how they originally were. But doing that makes them a little bit more belt loop shaped. And ultimately we need them to be loop shaped, so just because we need the gap underneath to fit the thing or fit the belt. And we don't want the belt glued in. You know a bit where I counted to 8 earlier, and then failed to immediately afterwards. Yay, go skill! As you can see, without heating them, they don't hold their shape very well. But we don't need much of a shape, just a little bit. Yeah, fair enough. Let's just get this bit rolled up. Okay, let's do them one at a time. Or just, those curved ones I can do one at a time. These ones, not so much. I'd love if that was strong enough to hold it, but we all know it isn't, so... Okay, still a little bit of solvent in here. There you go, it's back in the right place. We can still move it freely, so it's fine. Okay, we don't want to put too little into there, because if you do that, okay, so you can see the loops there. So basically that's what this section is, let's just do the loops. Now the reason I'm doing this motion is that when this is moved back and forth, if there's any glue that makes contact with it, would stick it. It tells you the bonds. Now tearing all the bonds is a good thing. Especially if you don't want it to be stuck. If you do want it to be stuck, tearing it all apart is stupid. Also means we know we can get the belt in and out as the final action. That's what we actually want here. Of course, when we finally come to the point of this, ooh, that's more difficult on this one. When it's finally done, it's not going to be coming off very often. It's like only one of these clips is ever going to pass through the buckle more than once. And that's just to take it on and off, because, you know, that's being the exact size of my waist is exact size of my waist and a lot of adjustment for weight gain. It's really good for weight loss. I might come to regret this, but I'm going to do this ribbon detail on the back of the armour as well. So yeah, that's the waist plates, all 4 of them. So get these, chuck them somewhere they're safe. Okay, smells gone. How strong that stuff smells, you can tell. Okay, let's close this up. And I'm not going to be doing any more hot glue tonight. Oh, no, I'm not going to be doing any more contact adhesive tonight. I probably will be tomorrow. Oh, sorry, not tomorrow, like next time. But this time I'm done. Yes, it's cold and I am closing the windows. So yeah, I don't have any more white, don't care. Doesn't matter what colour it is. It genuinely doesn't matter. So the length of these is going to be enough to go across the back. I think that we ended up with 4 ribs. The only problem is that because I've already stuck these bits, when it goes on I can't hide the edges. It's going to be interesting. Let's actually look at my references before we do something stupid. Where is my reference file? There it is. Okay, so basically I decided on 4 ribs on the back. So that's going to be easy enough. Now this isn't as horrifically curved as the front section or the waistband was, so it won't be as bad.
It is quite badly curved, and yes, there's going to be a mess. It's not badly curved, it's just any curve is bad when you're attempting to stick UVA. One. Now the thing is, I've got to find out a way to like hide the edge of this. I mean, up until now, I've just hid it under the edging, which I mean, it works, but it's not going to work on this section. Yep, run along. Oh, that feels so much nicer. Okay, and one last. So yeah, it's going to end up being like this type of fidelity going on. There's an idea. So we can take that off because we're about to stick over anyway. So it's like that. So we've got 1, 2. I think I'm going to have to make it free. So we've got 1, 2, 3 stick going down, and then yeah, we stop it there. Hey look, I made a good decision by accident. Right, so the plan is that the last one is going to be folded over on the foam itself, or the actual bit of detail that goes over the top. Because when we do that, it'll hide the fact that there's an edge, hopefully. But it just means I have to do a damn good job of it. Unlike my usual, where I just don't care, because it's hidden underneath. So I'm just trying to make this as flat as possible. We need it to actually look presentable because it's going to be on the outside for once. I do get much more worried when things are on the outside because people can actually see them. So that's sort of ish. Will do. Okay, yeah, and that is definitely big enough. Put about there. And we'll see how this works out. See, unfortunately, what I've done here, I've put purple on the outside of something that's going to end up basically being white. So this purple will leach out and be on the white. It's fine, I can correct for it, but as long as I'm not using white permanent markers, because that's the one thing that's worse. Once you put that on, I've got old pieces of armour where you can actually see the markings that I used, because I used a pink Sharpie. Point here, don't use pink Sharpie. So we're going for the same rip effect that we did on the main plate, or on the waist plates. So let's just go around, squish, 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 and squish. Now fortunately the shape of this is really pushing down hard, so the real skill for this is going to be hiding the bad bits on the edge, because, yeah. Okay, so that side's alright. so that's one side that's royally screwed up. I mean, it'll be fine, but you don't want it to look like that. Okay, we don't need to put that on now. All it does is cause interference and mess up the recording a little bit, so... Got that along there. Just get it right up to the edge. Just clean out that bit and squeeze. Ah, don't do that. Okay, and now we've done that. And yes, if I'd thought this through, I'd have used the grey. I didn't. It's okay. I've already described the minor problems it's going to cause me, and the fact that I don't really care. I don't think we need that there at this point. Okay, and well, to be fair, we're going to have to stop there anyway because we're at the end, we're at time, but in the front we've got the little ribbed section on the front there. That's come out pretty well. Got bits of mess around the place, but you know, that's we can deal with that. That's fine. I still have to do the sections over the shoulders, so they're not going to be ribbed. They're going to be squared off because that's just the better way to do it. Then. Yeah, we need to go across, sand all this back and make it actually work. Then, I mean, this belt is fine as it is, doesn't need any work. These ones here, we have to go in, round off these edges, as well as these edges have to be rounded off as well, just like where it's the outside, so they're more curved. But that's going to be after we've gone over this. Then curve off around here as well. Same with these two. And then turn off the glue at this point and the heat because when we're done in here, it doesn't matter. As for these, I mean, that bit is one of the only bits that there's really a problem with, and it's not atrocious, so I think we can live with that. And we just put that on the same side that we messed up the other bit. But yeah, it won't come out in the wash, but it'll be better. So we've got those. So next time we're going to be sticking little bits on the shoulder straps and then starting work on the gauntlets. I may have to cheat with the gauntlets a little bit because that's like a 2 to 3 week process. And actually no, because if I start next time I get that going, then do all the rest, because I can do the top of the glove and like the arm plates. Yeah, I can do that. Okay, there you are, we've got a plan. So, okay, you go up there because you fit better in shot, and the belt goes there because nobody really cares about the belt. Poor belt. Okay, so thanks for coming. If you've enjoyed me watching me make a mess, I mean, I'll be back next time to continue. I believe I've just gone through the plan for next time. And, well, thanks for coming. Okay. Bye. It's really hard to wave from this position.